Hello Internet, hello War of the Visions fans, I'm Jackie Fox. Ashen King is definitely the most powerful unit in Global. He's almost certainly still even the most powerful unit in all of Worldwide, including JP, who is still a month and a full collaboration ahead of us. And in a way, the gap feels smaller than ever because it's just one collaboration. Yes, there are units being released on 3 consecutive weeks of this collaboration, which is a first. New unit every week for 3 weeks consecutive. That's going to be pretty fun to play into. At least we get a free unit to start it all off. A free unit who would incidentally probably wreck this team single-handedly. Or two-handedly. It's Tifa. She's going to be using both of those fists to beat them down. That being said, while this team we're going to be talking about today is certainly vulnerable to New Age Tifa, it is a surgical tool for removing Earth teams from the map. Now, longtime fans might remember probably like a year ago me showing off this all MR team that was 2 first-year units and the free unit Sorel, and how it could wipe the floor with the current Earth meta of all UR units with the proper build. Well, that's coming back, and the 2 first-year MR units, I'm still using them, but I'm trading up my free beater from Sorel to Veritas of the Winds because he's very powerful in this matchup, and I don't quite have exactly what I want for this whole team, but as you can see, Dario has a lot of HP as an MR unit, and incidentally, a pretty good amount of magic. I mean, that's not nothing. 1200 is pretty decent, especially for a tank, for an MR, but look at that earth resistance. I think I want him to have a little bit more movement, though. I want him to be able to get out in front as a tank, so I think I'll keep Shikuchi with him. And then I've only reincarnated Veritas of the Winds 8 times, so that's 160 medals, but as you can see, he's already gained 48 stars, which is pretty wild. Let's, I'm sorry, not 48 stars, but 48 levels of reincarnation worth of stars. That would be, like 144 stars? Yipes. So as you can see, high earth resistances abound. One of the reasons for this in my main slot, 15 earth resistance from this card, I'm also getting another 9 earth resistance from this MR card as well. Because I'm kind of missing an agility card here, I'm using Helena's card on Helena, interestingly enough. This is the one I think I don't really need. None of that stuff is actually super relevant to this team other than the attack, I guess. But also, none of it's really super relevant to the matchup with Mont. So, wish I had a better card there, but hey, we're going to do what we can do, and hopefully we can win this one. I've got Helena running the job of Blade Stream. Hopefully, Veritas of the Winds will be able to regenerate his HP a bit. Also, I'm hoping Dario will be able to. Helena has Curiga and Raze and etc. as a white mage, but really, I want to be using her for her supportive capabilities as a green mage. And I know, old school job, but especially on some of these MR units, some of these really old skills got buffed a lot, and hers has got buffed even further into 140. In fact, the 140 upgrade for this skill doesn't even really matter in this matchup, as none of them are mages. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move Veritas over the barrier. Since he is one of those spear boys, he has the ability to jump up there and join the rest of our party shortly. I want everybody to group up because I want them all to get buffed by Helena. So I'm going to go ahead and pull her towards the center. And let's go ahead and start doing some buffing with her. This is the buff that I ultimately want to use, but I can't get it onto Veritas at the moment. So let's try Resist Weakness. So that's going to keep us from being debuffed through any of the attack types. It doesn't stop unit attack resistance, but hey, not for nothing, it's a decent thing that she has in her kit. Probably could have given a more relevant TMR buff onto this boy. I didn't realize and forgot that he was just going to have terrible buffs, especially for this matchup. All of his buffs were going to be magic versus magic based, which is going to suck. He's taking a bit of damage from Bradley. Bradley has good penetrations, not earth resistance penetration, but I also haven't applied my buff yet. This damage is coming in pretty early because of his range. But I will be able to buff them all up soon. Right now they should be sitting around something like 50% earth resistance, and with Helena's buffing here, they should be able to easily get to, let's say, 85% earth resistance, which, even with Dario's unfortunate health at this moment, should be a lot better. Also, it's going to be giving them a bit of defense as well, so that's also going to help a bit in this matchup. And that's not one of the things that the Ashen King necessarily... he has defense penetration on his AP Restore buff. But he doesn't really have, like, defense breaks or anything. Neither does Bradley, so... defense, while they penetrate it, is kind of safe. Meanwhile, we're getting our defense penetration rate up. I'm not as sure that this team could actually work against the Oldoa variant. Maybe it could work against the Celeste version. It's definitely a lot safer versus this Earth Knight combo. But that being said, this combo also allows me to flex some of the higher power VCs for this team. So it really brings a lot of power to it. To units like Bradley, to units like Ashen, Mont, so that's going to be pretty tough for this matchup a little bit later on, but we did manage to get through Bradley. Did not use Poise, so didn't have Courage there. I'm going to park Dario up here, keep him a little bit safe, and see if we can do some damage from afar. Maybe heal back a little bit of his health, got some spirit, got some hate. I mean... I don't know that spirit actually helps, given that Helena's already boosted his spirit. I don't know which boost is higher necessarily. It's maybe hers. The hate up's helpful. He was, once they started upgrading like some of his moves as an MR unit, he really started being one of those tanks that could do multiple things with his hate skills. Like healing. He has another one that gives him hate that immobilizes as well. I just had 0 chance of immobilizing Noctis, so didn't seem worth it. But there we go, we got Noctis down, so that's 2 out of 3. Haven't lost a unit. Oh wait, re-raise procs, I forgot. So that's going to be through Halloween Raryu's TMR. Only way of getting re-raise onto this boy. And he really does need something. He's not going to be able to use the shield from Veritas of the Earth, which would be able to give him courage. So currently, this is the only way to give him like one of those cheat death strategies. And it feels like kind of every unit has to have some way of doing this these days. If nothing else, to put pressure on your opponents to find a way to get around it. So we're going to raise this boy up. And because our opponents are basically out of AP, he's going to be able to tank through both attacks. He's down again, unfortunately, but this has definitely given me time to regroup my team. And now we can do some damage. That's going to remove Noctis again. I think Mont is very close to his threshold heal. We're going to get Helena all the way up here. I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that Helena's on the highest point of the map and Veritas of the Winds is on the lowest point of the map. She can still attack him from up here if she can hit him. But this is going to mean that his 2 targeting skills, if he can build up the AP for them, and I'm going to try to not let him, those skills won't be able to hit both of them at the same time. So he will at least be fighting a war on 2 fronts to kind of, as best as I can, turn off his 2 targeting skills. Although, I guess... how about I pull him in range of me? Everything I just said, nah. But he only has 14 AP at this moment. Ooh, okay. I didn't think about his ability to summon an Esper. Okay, I need to do something here, so, getting that reactivation rate down, getting my defense piercing rate back up. But also reapplying my earth resistance and my defense. So this is going to mean that even though we are close together, we got close to get this buffing in. Oh yeah, I guess basic attacks would still do a lot of damage to an MR unit, wouldn't they? Well, we've definitely survived. We haven't necessarily won, but we've survived. Also, this map really trips me out. Like, I have depth perception issues on where units actually are on this map. It's very aggravating. But as you can see, we definitely could have won that match pretty easily. In fact, I would say I might have even misplayed some elements of that. I could have been a little bit more aggressive as a healer, or maybe a little bit more on my buff timing. I don't know. I probably could have kept Dario alive, though, is my point. So let's see how this team does in auto. This is a little bit different than the team I showed you before, in that I'm not running the more meta combination that's more centered around Pierce. Instead, in this case, I'm kind of modifying the team that I showed you earlier, but with better units. Dario here has the ability to kind of play the roles of both Dario and Helena here, in that he can buff at least earth resistance. He's an excellent tank. He does all the things that previous Dario did and did so well in that previous fight. But, definitely on a UR level. And like the MR Dario... The MR Dario is on the level of some UR units, I would say. Some of the older ones, at least, or even better in some cases. Like, his upgrades have hit. And in this incredibly, specific niche of countering Earth teams specifically, having a huge boost to earth resistance and defense at the same time, like Helena gives, which also now works. I mean, it's always worked for wind as well, but also now works for spirit. That used to be one of the problems with that team, is that it was hard to build up their spirit enough to be able to deal with someone like Sodley. So you could... I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I mean, you could run them against wind because you were getting a lot of wind resistance, and this team did easily run a lot of wind resistance as well. So they could selectively be like... They weren't nearly as good as a wind counter as they were as an earth counter, but as all MR units, they were definitely doing really well. But like Sodley, Queen Macherie, a lot of units like that could throw a real curveball. Although at least with Queen Macherie, they were leaning into a little bit higher earth resistance to keep her back. But also she was an earth resistance breaker, so she was kind of a counter to this team in general. But as you can see, we have managed to brawl our way through this without losing a single unit. I would say not only is it your units and newer units, but I would say like the way that this team works is a more modern composition. In that, there's tanks here, but they're going to be slapping. There are healers here, but they're going to be healing while slapping while tanking. And then, modern free unit, Veritas of the Winds, being an absolute star. And because this team isn't spread out amongst a healer support that's not practically going to do damage, a tank who's not going to do very much damage, and Veritas of the Winds, who is the BAMF of both teams, you really get through them a lot faster. There's a less chance of stalling out here. So if you were looking to beat Ashen King Mont on a budget, I hope these tips have helped you out, and I hope these tips have inspired you to find a strategy that works for you. For what it's worth, like, if it's... you could keep it on a back burner, but like if you ever really need to use it in offensive formats, that MR team is still pretty reliable at taking down all Earth teams and strategies. Follow-up damage does mess with it a little bit, so I would say it's a little bit weaker to Ashen Mont than it was in the past. But the thing is, it's powerful in such a specific way that has only really kind of been improved on with time a little bit. That they're just... they didn't need an improvement, and they keep getting them anyways, and it's really, really keeping them up, at least with being able to counter Earth. And it's a fun trick, but wow, it really sucks against everything else. So don't play this on defense, and if you're playing this on offense in guild battle or something, you better be in a meta where you're seeing plenty of Ashen Mont every day. And just saying, you better be sure, maybe have a good scout report, be sure that you are attacking into an Earth team, because if there's a Juma on that team, she might just shred through this before you have a chance to take out Mont. He is resilient, and this team, especially the MR version, is quite slow. But there are two other versions of this video, and a version from the opposite side showing me having to beat all of these teams, or at least untuned versions of these teams, with Ashen Mont himself. So plenty of Ashen Mont content if this is where you're getting in at first. And regardless, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Do that stuff. You've been thinking about subscribing to this channel the last couple times you've watched, but you haven't done it. And if this is your first video, this is a pretty fun first video for you, and I hope it really proves my worth as a content creator. So like, subscribe, and hit that link in the description, because that's going to show you all the rest of the Jackie Fox media empire and universe out there, with some twinkling stars of books that I've written floating out in the vast unknown. And in the darkness, you can reach out and grab these things in the void of space, and this is... I have books for sale. You should buy those. You can find those through the link in the description. There, simple as that. And with all that being said, I'll see you in the next one.